Dick Ray in for Vince Welch this week, and Dick, quite a brawl, not brawl, that's the wrong word, but some excitement at Wrigley Field.
I think we get a little education here about baseball. We find out about tempers, and we find out that they sell a lot of beer up at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Something in the air Tuesday night in Wrigley Field. The frustration of two teams struggling coming through loud and clear. First of all, Andre Dawson disputing a called third strike. Joe West says, "I've heard enough," and Andre is out of here. So are several bats in the Cubs dugout. And Andre goes another round with the bats. Later, Jim Essien would be thrown out of this game because of the outburst. The fans start pelting the field with beer cups and beer. The Cubs, incidentally, would win this game 8-5, but in the process, more fireworks later on in the contest when Rob Dibble, just off a 3-game suspension for throwing at a batter, throws the ball at Doug DeCenzo and is also ejected from the game. So it's probably likely that he'll be hearing again from the National League office. 8-5, the Cubs are a winner. We'll have the complete baseball story coming up later in this newscast, but for now we'll tell you that the Dodgers won, the Braves lost to the Pirates, Detroit wins, and the White Sox lose, and our Indianapolis Indians pulled within a game of Buffalo, winning Tuesday night in Denver. An active day Tuesday up at Colts Camp in Anderson, and Mark Patrick has a complete wrap-up, including the first practice of veteran wideout Stanley Morgan.
For the 15th year, Stanley Morgan is undergoing the rigors of a professional football training camp. Just as the young Colt receivers now look to Morgan, number 86 had mentors of his own that first pro camp with New England.
Randy Bataha, Marlon Briscoe, and Darryl Stingley. Those guys, they came out, they helped me to learn the system and to learn it as quickly as I could, and they sort of got me started on the right foot.
After initially failing his physical last week, Morgan, who still clocks a 40 in the 4.3 range, came back as a tough wide to bump when it comes roster reduction time.
I know if you look at our highlight film from a year ago, Morgan just jumps out at you. I think a limited number of catches, but big productive plays.
You know, another year has made him a lot more comfortable, and Stanley's a real pro, so he's going to do it the way it should be done anyway.
Another veteran wide receiver remains the only unsigned Colt, Jesse Hester, as today Eugene Daniel, Chris Good, and Chip Banks all signed new contracts. Kevin Call, Donnell Thompson, and Tony Siragusa all signed contract extensions. From Colts Camp in Anderson, Mark Patrick, Wish TV, Sports 8.
A few players missing practice yesterday, Dave. Shane Curry, Dwayne Bickett, and Jeff Harrod. Some minor injuries are day-to-day. Probably just a little tired with all the heat and everything.
We're getting too excited. I mean, everything's going too well for the Colts. Something's got to happen.
It'll be soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dave. Well, Randy, I had a question for Dick about Andre Dawson.
When he threw all those bats in the field, who had to go out there and pick him up?
Well, I'm sure the bat boys.
The bat boy did?
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Extra pay for that guy, I hope, huh?
Wow, hey,
All
those
the
vendors, the beer
there?
vendors made a lot of money yesterday. Everybody threw that out. They said, hey, I better order another one.
That's right.
Oh, Doug.
Boy, I didn't know he was that wild. I mean, I guess all of us get mad once in a while, but to throw bats like that.
Yeah.
It's the heat.
Yeah, it is.
The
You're
heat.
right.
Blame the weather.
If we had gotten some decent weather, a little bit of rain to help out, it wouldn't have been like that.
Unfortunately, it's nice and cool up in Chicago during yesterday. It was 101 the day before, and they're only low 80s yesterday, so it's pretty nice.